Here's a tall stack of books that is about a little higher than waist length. That's one stack of books. If you think that's it, no. This whole top shelf, all on my TBR.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome back to Care's Book Corner. I feel like I say this every time I film a video, but it's been a while. It really has. It feels like it's been ages since I have been in my corner filming a book video, but I can't say I'm excited to film this, but I think that this will shame me into either 1, stop buying so many books, or 2, actually read some of the books that I buy. Right now, I am in a bit of a reading slump and I just can't get out of it. I don't know if it's like life circumstances or I just can't find a good book right now. Either way, this TBR is just growing and it's not decreasing. And as such, I have coordinated my shirt with the theme of this video. I have worn a black camouflage shirt because 1, my TBR right now is basically a black hole. Books just go in and do not come out. 2nd, camouflage because I'm really hunting for a good book on my TBR, and so far have not found one. I don't know if that worked. My other option was saying that I was trying to blend in, but I was like, blend in with what? I don't know. Leave in the comments down below if you have any ideas what I was thinking of when I said blend in. Anyway, so we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start first with the books that I'm currently reading, and there's a lot of them. I am typically I read one book at a time kind of gal, but I have started and stopped many books. I'm not anymore a one book at a time kind of gal. All of these books right here, ooh, that was close, did you see that one? All of these books are books that I am currently reading. I'll go in the order of like the main books that I'm reading to books that I haven't touched in a while. And if you see any repeats from my video last year, keep it to yourself. Thanks. I'm well aware I have books on this shelf that I have had in the last year. I have had books on this shelf for the past 5 years, and I still haven't read them. I'm only one human. My eyeballs can only read so much. The first book is The Marmalade Diaries, and yes, this is just the book cover because I like to take my book covers off of my books when I read them. Book about 2 roommates, one who's this man, and then the other is an 85-year-old woman, and it kind of tells their stories about living together. I'm about like a 4th to 5th of the way through this book, and honestly, it's an okay book so far. Like, that's why I'm not farther. I read like 3 pages, I'm like, all right, I'm putting this down for now. No shade to the author. It's just right now, like I said, I just have not been motivated to read. The second book is Better Than the Movies. To say that I started reading this is a very generous thing to say. I read maybe the first sentence, and then I said, okay, I'll just bring this with me on my trip just in case I do want to read it. And then I didn't read it because I was reading The Marmalade Diaries and didn't get very far. This book I bought because I heard if you like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and like 2010 rom-coms, that this book is just like that, and I love old rom-coms. I bought this in hopes that maybe it will make me feel something. Every time I watch a rom-com or I read a romance book, I feel so single. So why do I keep doing it? I don't know. But it's enjoyable. So I'll read the back. Liz has always known that Wes Bennett was not boyfriend material. You would think that her next door neighbor would be the prime candidate for romantic comedy fantasies, but Wes has only proven himself to be a pain in the butt ever since they were little. Wes was a kid who put a frog in her Barbie dream house, the monster who hid a lawn gnome's severed head in her little homemade neighborhood book exchange. Flash forward 10 years from the great gnome decapitation, she needs Wes's help. And as they continue to grow closer, she must re-examine everything that she thought she knew about love and rethink her own perception of what happily ever after should really look like. So basically, it is a enemies-ish to lovers book. This feels very young adulty to me because they're still in high school, so young adults. So I don't know if I'm actually gonna like this because I've been straying away from young adult romances, but I've heard this is good, so we'll see. And then I am reading Strangers to Ourselves. I'm about like a 6th of the way through this book. Strangers to Ourselves poses fundamental questions about how we understand ourselves in periods of crisis and distress. The reason why I haven't gotten further in this book is every time I try to read it, I just can't. The topics that this book talks about are mentally taxing, so it's not like a light, easy read, but also the fact that I just can't read right now, genuinely. I am reading How to Be Perfect. This is from the creator of The Good Place. This is a very informational book about philosophy, but it's relatively easy to digest because the way that he wrote it is very similar to how The Good Place was written. Like, you can definitely tell that they were from the same creator and like it has the same voice and tone. And this book is basically a nonfiction about moral situations in philosophy. So actually, I honestly think this book is relatively interesting. If you think you're interested in philosophy, this might be an interesting book for you to learn some concepts in a reader-friendly way. The next book I am currently reading By currently, I haven't touched this book since April of last year. High Mountains of Portugal, and I am about a fourth of the way through. I just stopped reading it. There was no reason I stopped reading it. I started it when I was in Portugal because I was riding that high, and then it kind of died down, and then I stopped reading it. The back says, 3 journeys, 3 broken hearts, 1 question. What is a life without stories? And I do like this book. I do. Couldn't motivate myself to read it. This book is kind of thick, and I have big book fear. All that to say, I will finish this. When? I don't know. I really don't, but I will eventually. The next book you might recognize from last year. This is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. Have I touched it since I mentioned it last year? No. Will I have touched it if I make this video next year? Likely, no. But can I say that I am reading this? Yes, because I have read a couple pages. Have I finished the whole book? No. The thing is, it's like 101 essays, right? So like theoretically, I could read an essay a day and be done with it. And it would take me 101 days. That's just not the way the cookie crumbles. So, one day. The next book, which also may look familiar, is What We Talk About When We Talk About Love by Raymond Carver. I am the same amount into this book as I was last year. Again, have not touched it since filming that video. This book is a short story collection about love. Here's the thing, I love reading about love. It's just that this book, I just don't get it. The short stories, I just don't get. So those are all of the books that I am currently reading, and currently used in the most loosest of terms. I was gonna just do this haphazardly as I grab things off of the shelf, but I will give you more structure. I'm gonna start with a fiction and then go into nonfiction. So give me 1 second as I organize all of this. Should I have done this before I started the video? Yes. Yes, I should have. Is it too late? Yeah. Yeah, it is. I guess this book I'm technically still reading. It's one of the books that I mentioned also last year, I believe, and I haven't made any progress. I just don't think I'm gonna finish this book. I really don't. This book is about a daughter who awakes with a tiger tail, and I couldn't even tell you that because I don't think I got far enough for the book to have developed that as a plot line. So we're gonna start, like I mentioned, with the fiction books. The first one is Scattered All Over the Earth. I bought this book because it was pretty. So this book is a dystopian book based in Japan. It's a translated fiction, so we know that I love translated fiction. I just haven't gotten around to it because I tried reading it and then I got confused, so then I stopped. It just follows this lady who lives in this dystopian world as she navigates through the different things that happen. I know Scattered All Over the Earth was in my video last year. Most of these likely will have been in my video last year. The new ones are likely here. We're just gonna go with the repeats so you know how bad of a reader I am. Because we don't hide things on my channel. We just embrace them fully because we know shame will bring me to do things. Maybe. The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, one of the books that I really want to read. I watched the movie on a flight somewhere. I cried, which reinvigorated my desire to read this book. My desire to read the book is not strong enough than my desire to not read the book, hence why it has not been read. It follows 4 women and then their daughters, and it kind of talks about their immigration to San Francisco and kind of like all of their life stories. And I honestly thought the movie was really interesting and I really liked it. But here's the thing, because I feel like I watched the movie, I was like, I don't really need to read the book anymore, right? Like, I know what's gonna happen. I'm just terrible. So there's no such thing as an easy job. This is also another translated fiction, and it's about this woman who walks into an employment agency and requests a job that has the following traits. It is close to home, it requires very little thinking, and ideally involves sitting in a chair. The recruiter has just the thing. So basically, lady goes to an employment agency, tries out a bunch of different jobs. You just get to read a lot of her journey doing so. Next one is Out There, Kate Folk. I bought this in San Francisco. It's a short story collection with a focus on the weird and eerie forces that lurk beneath the surface of ordinary experience. Out There holds a mirror to our subconscious fears and desires. Each story beats with its own fierce heart, and together they herald a exciting addition to the canon of speculative literary fiction. This one was definitely on my shelf last year and has been on my shelf for the past couple of years. Just haven't gotten around to reading it. This is oh beautiful. The worst part is I have heard good things about this book. It's just I can't bring myself to read it. So the inside says, Eleanor Hansen, a 40-something former model, is struggling to reinvent herself as a freelance writer when she receives an unexpected assignment. Her mentor from grad school offers her a chance to write for a prestigious magazine about the Bakken oil boom in North Dakota. With spare and graceful prose, Oh Beautiful presents an immersive portrait of a community rife with tensions and competing interests, and one woman's attempt to reconcile her anger with a love of a beautiful but troubled land. Next book is The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks. This is likely one of my favorite Nicholas Sparks movies. So I saw this at a used bookstore and I bought it because I just think it'll be interesting. But again, it's very similar to The Joy Luck Club, where I've watched the movie so I know what happens. So it's like, do I really have to read the book? And yes, if you're asking, I did watch the movie before I bought the book. So it's like my own fault. Doesn't make it any easier for me to stomach the fact that I have 2 books now where I have watched the movie and am considering not reading the book, but I have it because I like the movie. I don't make sense. So Rest in the Morning is a poetry book that I saw at a bookstore and I was like, wow, this looks really depressing. So I bought it. The back says, "You are my peace, you are my joy." I'll read the first couple of parts in this. Tell me your truth. You're going to think yourself into an oblivion. You've been drowning in a sea of your emotions. Tears turn into high tides, waves of overtrust crashing and destroying your peace of mind. You struggle beneath the moon as the rest of the world falls asleep. You're wide awake, restless, mind overflowing with thoughts of giving up. Who you were before the nights when madness plagued your soul. Who were you before what you thought was love caused you to lose control? Yeah, so it's really happy. So it's clearly a little sad, a little angsty, which honestly might be what I'm in the mood for. I'm not a huge poetry person, but I read that first page and I was like, I actually really like it. Beautiful World, Where Are You? Has been on my shelf for quite a bit. I tried reading it and then I stopped. And I get it. A lot of Sally Rooney stans are gonna hate me, and that's fine. Now on to books that have likely not been talked about on my TBR. The first one is my favorite Half Night Stand. This one I bought as a blind date with a book. So the front said it was friends to lovers, lots of laughs, very light. This seems completely up my alley. And it's by Christina Lauren, which, as you know, if you do, is the author of one of my favorite books, Love in Other Words. I have 2 copies. This, I started and I read 2 pages, and then I was like, I'm not in a romance reading mood right now, so I stopped. I bought this book, The Librarianist, at a used bookstore because I thought the cover looked really interesting. Bod Comet is a retired librarian passing his solitary days surrounded by books and small comforts in a mint-colored house in Portland, Oregon. One morning on his daily walk, he encounters a confused elderly woman lost in a market and returns her to the senior center that is her home. Hoping to fill the void he's known since retiring, he begins volunteering at the center. From there, it kind of talks about the protagonist's life and how, like, volunteering at that center brings out emotions and whatnot. 2 wrongs make a right. When I bought my blind date with a book, I also bought the cousin one, and this is a book that she got, so this is a fake dating book. Jamie Westenberg and Bay Wilmot have nothing in common except a meat disaster and the mutual understanding that they could not be more wrong for each other. But when the people closest to them play Cupid and trick them into going on a date, Jamie and Bee realize they have something else in common after all, an undeniable need for revenge. So that's the premise of this book. Romantic comedy. I thought that I heard good things about this book, and then I reheard the things that I heard about the book, and I was like, wow, actually those were all negative. So that's why I have not read this book yet. A comedy writer thinks she's sworn off love until a dreamy pop star flips the script on all her assumptions. 5 Tuesdays in Winter. I saw at a bookstore, and then, can you not? Because I really liked Writers and Lovers by the same author, I was like, I'm just gonna buy this because it looks interesting. And this is one of her more popular books. Told in the intimate voices of complex, endearing characters, 5 Tuesdays in Winter intriguingly subverts expectations as it explores desire, loss, jolting violence, and the inexplorable tug towards love at all costs. And then I have She Regrets Nothing. And I think that this was one of the books at the bookstore that I was at, said, like, if you like, I forget which exact book it was, but it was like, if you like this book, then buy this book. And I liked the first book, and I want to say the first one was like maybe like Love in Other Words, but this is a big book, which is why I haven't read it. Big books scare me. In the tradition of the Emperor's Children and the House of Mirth, the forgotten granddaughter of one of the New York's wealthiest men is reunited with her family just as she comes of age. And once she has a glimpse of their glittering world, she refuses to let it go without a fight. And then this book, I Meant It Once, is another short story collection, a luminous and witty collective portrait of young women on the cusp of becoming. I read like the first couple of pages when I was at the bookstore. I bought this in San Francisco. Actually, that is a bold-faced lie. I bought this in the local bookstore that I usually go to. Okay, never mind. Then what book is this? Short story collection. And then The Cat Who Saved Books. I'm a very easy person when it comes to buying books. I see it, it looks interesting, I find out that it's translated literature, and then I just purchase it. Awkward teenager Rintaro is about to close the secondhand shop he inherited from his beloved grandfather, but before closing the bookshop's doors for good, Talking Cat suddenly appears with an unusual request Rintaro's help. The mission sends them on a cross-dimensional journey to save books from abusive, negligent owners, from a businessman who leaves his books to perish on a shelf to a publishing drone who cares only about bestsellers. Adventure culminates in a final fantastic challenge, a labyrinth that leads Rintaro to a realm where certain soul hangs in the balance. The description of the person who they are trying to save books from, the negligent owner, sounds like me. I have been neglecting all of these books, so I guess the irony is not lost on me. Again, translated fiction. Like I said, it's just an easy buy for me. This is The Factory. The Factory follows 3 workers at a sprawling industrial factory. Each worker focuses intently on the specific tasks they've been assigned. One shreds paper, one proofreads documents, and another studies the moss growing all over the expansive grounds. But their lives slowly become governed by their work, and little by little the margins of reality seem to be dissolving. Where does the factory end and the rest of the world begin? What's going on with the strange animals here? And after a while, it could be weeks or years, the 3 workers struggled to answer the most basic questions. What am I doing here? The Factory casts a wild and sometimes surreal portrait of the absurdity and meaningless of the modern workplace. Am I ready to be thrown into an existential crisis after reading that? Perhaps. Before we say goodbye, the 4th installment of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, immediate buy for me. Bought it in Japan, which makes it even better. The only con about this book so far is the fact that it does not match the rest of my series, because a lot of the ones that I bought are hardcover, while this is not. I'm excited to read this. Maybe I should read this to get out of the reading slump I'm in. I have so many books that I'm currently reading. Can I add another one? Who knows? Revenge. This is another one I bought in Japan. I bought it because I liked The Memory Police by this author, so I was like, I may like this one, and I don't know if that's gonna be true, because I haven't read it. A woman goes into a bakery to buy a strawberry cream tart. Another customer comes in. The woman tells the new arrival that she is buying her son a treat for his birthday. Every year she buys him his favorite cake, but her son died in an accident when he was 6 years old. Seems a little sad. Next one is Dead End Memories. This one is a short story collection, and I have been wanting to read this since I bought it, but I told myself because this looks like a fall-time book, I will allow myself to read it in the fall, which is a stupid rule, but that's just the way that I work. Also translated literature. Doesn't really say anything about what this book is about though. Breast and Eggs, which if you remember from my what I wanted to do this year, one of my goals is to read this book. Again, another big book, which is why I haven't read it and I'm scared to do it. I love Miko Kawakami. All of her books that I've read are so great, but they also threw me in an existential crisis. So tread carefully. And then The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I've read Never Let Me Go and Clara and the Sun, and both of them I enjoyed. So I bought this one. This one is his most popular. That is the last fiction that I have on my physical TBR. Trust me, there's a virtual TBR, which I will not get into right now. So now I'm going to go into some of the nonfiction on my physical TBR. There's going to be a lot of repeats from last year because I just can't get myself to read nonfictions. We're just gonna breeze through them. Minor Feelings, written by a Asian immigrant about the immigrant experience. The Richest Man in Babylon. This is a book that I found somewhere in my house, actually, I believe. Itty Bitty personal finance book. In Love, a memoir about love and loss. I bought this because I heard some good things about it. I don't actually think I want to be wrecked by a book, so I'm not going to read this right now. Designing Your Life, another repeat from last year. It is about defining what a well-designed life is and how to get there, I think. Wherever you go, there you are. This book is about meditation. I don't meditate, which is why I've not read this book. Awakening Your Ikigai, another repeat from last year. How the Japanese wake up to joy and purpose every day. You Are a Badass, which is a book that my friend bought for me before I graduated college, so it's been at least 3-4 years now. Have not touched it, nor do I ever think I am going to read this. No offense to my friend who bought it for me, like that sounded really sassy. Think Again is a book about the power of knowing what you don't know, evidently. It's a book about questioning your own opinions and your own thoughts and opening other people's minds up. Buddha and the Badass, which has been on my shelf for the past couple of years, probably since I also graduated college, so at least 3 or 4. And this is a book that my dad bought me. It's about the secret spiritual art of succeeding at work. Another repeat from last year, Mindset, is about how to succeed, I guess. How to change your mind a little bit. Good Morning Monster is probably going to be one of the next nonfictions I read after I finish reading one of the 4 that I'm currently reading. The book is about a therapist that shares 5 heroic stories of emotional recovery. The cousin picked this out and read it, so I have to read it because that's how our relationship works. She reads, she gives to me, I read and give to her. I think it'll be relatively similar to Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, which is one of my favorite books, where a therapist writes a story about 5 of the clients that she sees. And this seems very similar. 6 more books. Psychology of Money. I think this is one of the most talked about personal finance books that I have heard. Bought it for my cousin, not the cousin, but another cousin, for Christmas, and I also bought a copy for myself because that's how many good things I've heard about it. I Will Teach You to Be Rich, another repeat from last year. Again, it's on my TBR, has been. But the thing is with this book is that now that the author has a YouTube channel, I just watch his YouTube videos instead of reading because it's so much easier to digest and not have to like focus my eyeballs on something for a really long time. Although a YouTube video kind of is similar to reading, I digress. Quietly Hostile is another book that I purchased. It's essays. Is this a nonfiction? I guess technically. The reason why I bought this is because I bought The Cousin, a book by the same author that's called We're Never Meeting in Person. I thought that title was funny and fit her. So for me, Quietly Hostile, because that fits me. Next book is Stop Overthinking. If you know me, you know I am an overthinker, so book to learn to stop it, I guess, doesn't really help if I don't read the book. Bittersweet is a new one that I purchased. It's by Susan Cain, who is the same author who wrote Quiet. And I really liked Quiet because as an introvert, I feel like it gave me power in my silence. Bittersweet is about sorrow and longing and how that makes us whole. Find your people. As you know, making friends is something that I want to do in the upcoming year. So maybe reading a book on how to make friends, which sounds actually so depressing now that I say it out loud. But I guess that's my life. So that was the last book. I'm really gonna have the last book be Find My People, where it's about making friends because I have none. That's honestly so fitting. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that at least you found it somewhat entertaining or you got some new books out of it. Guess I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to and you haven't already, please feel free to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! I'm hungry. With a weird on the... I really think that sometimes I can't read. Like, genuinely, I don't think I can. With a focus on the weird and eerie Whoa, dude. Dude, how am I recording a book about videos? How am I recording a video about books when I can't read? She's shocked to discover that Woman goes into a bakery and then there's a sticker over the rest of the words. Wow. It's truly the little luxuries in life. That came off so nicely. It's in the middle of the workday, and if you're my coworker, that's a joke. I have to go and return to my day job for a bit. Wish me luck. There's less things I have to actually read, and as we can see, I really struggle reading. I don't know why I'm struggling so hard. I don't know, something about the way that I filmed this just feels off. Let me know if it felt off. I am now gonna go film the thumbnail. Thumbs up. Yeah, for sure.